All right, Funky Town Football 2025. I'm going to try this out. I've been doing videos each week for baseball, and I think they're adding some level of fun for the guys. And it's not very time consuming for me because I just sort of throw something up on the screen and then start talking. Not very well thought out takes here. Plus, I don't know as much about the NFL as I do about baseball, basketball. So I'm a little bit more of a uneducated guy on this stuff anyway. So let's just try it, see what it feels like, and if anyone enjoys it, then I'll keep going, and if no one enjoys it, then I'll stop. Easy as that. So first thing I want to do, we've had our draft. Um, we all selected three keepers, and we all, I believe, know, hopefully, that the keeper system is going away. We've tried it for many years and many iterations. I tried to make it look just like my baseball league, and the salary structure didn't really work. And we've tried to do at some point in the past, if you keep it this round, then in the next year you have to keep them around above that. We've settled into this rhythm for several years now where it's an auction draft. And if you want to keep somebody, you have to pay $5 extra to keep them. And if you really hit on someone, a deep cut or someone who's a rookie and they're really cheap, that can be great. You can keep them, you can own them for a total of 3 years, and then they're forced back into the draft pool. Um, it has had some success, but I think the biggest reason why we're going away from it is that it's not adding value at the trade deadline, or the thing that it is adding takes more away than it adds, to me. I think we have a couple trades every year, but not very many. But two or three trades, and those trades are typically take two or three of my best players, or maybe one or two like solid to good keeper values. And it really can impact a playoff race a lot when a team that doesn't have any good keeper values just says, F it, I don't care. I'm not keeping these guys. Take the three good ones, and I'll just get something like kind of whatever good keeper value you'll give me back. Kind of undermines the competition a little bit whenever we're getting a lot of talent instantly downloaded to one team at the deadline. And because we're not really doing much of it as a league, it doesn't feel like it's a fun part of it's not a core part of the experience. Um, Ultimately, we're going to transition away from the auction altogether. We've had several people kind of asking for a snake draft. Several people like the auction, and I know that. But we're going to give this a try. I think I'm always open to thinking about keeper possibilities and maybe what that looks like in more of a redraft format. So the door is not closed on keepers, but we're going to treat this year as the final year of a run, if you will. And then we're going to reset completely, zero keepers, total start over at a snake draft. And we're just going to give that a go after that season concludes. Well, before next draft, frankly, we're going to talk. Do we want to just go ahead and put a new keeper system in place? Do we just want to have a redraft league? I know for me, a redraft league kind of lost its, I mean, when I say redraft, I mean snake. A snake draft kind of lost its appeal 7, 8 years ago after I had been doing it for 10, 15 years. I guess that maybe that math doesn't check out, but felt like a long freaking time of the same kind of boring snake draft. Now it's like there is a nostalgia factor to it. I almost want to go back to slapping the sticker on the board, and there's something fun about that too. So, anyways, that's what we're going to do. We talked about this all last year before the deadline. Um, And so hopefully no one is surprised by that news. But yeah, that's where we're going. So now I'm going to go through an analysis quickly of who kept who, what the draft looked like, my original first take on their team, going to compare it with whatever their projection is for the week for week one. And I don't know that I'm going to try to put it into a power rankings of sort, but certainly you'll get that impression if I do or don't like your team, kind of where I feel like you're falling. And ultimately, at the end of this, I'd like to send a survey out to everybody and have everyone else look at every team and give me their power rankings. And then we'll put them all together. And I did this for baseball, and it was a little bit divisive, but it was still fun, interesting to note. And we'll compare what people thought of your draft amongst the league mates and see where everyone falls according to popular opinion. So, first on the list, we're going to look at Nate. He came in keeping Jameer Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, which, yeah, I'm just starting the video, but that's probably the best three players that were kept as a group. Hard to beat. Gibbs and Ramon Ra are both top 10 picks. Jackson Smith Jig was like a third or fourth rounder. Pretty nice. Of course, he did spend a lot of money on them. Looks like $91 between the three. Um, I like this team. You got Kyler Murray's a dependable low end quarterback one at this point. I feel like that's kind of where he slots. Gibbs is amazing. Travion Henderson and Omari and Hampton, $26 and $25 respectively. Both of them have a lot of upside. They're young, high draft pick rookies that are likely going to get the ball a lot. I know that there's still incumbents here. There's the guy that fumbles every other play, Ramondre Stevenson, who Duran sniped from me and then dropped after the draft. Omari and Hampton's got a little mini committee over there with Najee Harris and someone else. But both of them obviously have a potential to take over the starting job by the end of the season. And if they both do, um, this is a pretty damn good team. Devontae Smith is a really nice flex receiver. TJ Hawkinson, don't know what to make of him anymore. I guess seemed like he was just on this upward trajectory and then maybe not. Ayuk and Mims were nice, really nice, frankly. $3 picks at the end. Garundo, I think I typed that wrong, spelled that wrong. $5 to get the presumed backup to CJ McCaffrey. CJ. Why am I blanking on it? His name is Christian. God, CJ McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey. Not bad. Stafford for a buck. K for two. I like his team. I think this would like I haven't looked at the other teams yet, but I'm guessing this is going to be a playoff team. The top end talent's really nice. If even one of those two rookies hits, that's going to be good. And you have Ayuk and Mims, who I both like to potentially backfill for the flex if one of them doesn't hit. I like it. I guess I have this pulled up over here as well, just to look at what the projection is for the week. Nate's projected 113, but there's currently no kicker. So once you add the kicker, if the kicker's going to get 7 to 8 points, like the free agent kickers currently are, he'll be up about 120. He'd be, you know, well, I don't know that this matchup's actually going to stay. I think I need to still tweak the matchups. So that's actually not his first week opponent, most likely. But yeah, 120 points is the projection, just to keep in mind. All right, let's look at Brad. Finding him over here. So Brad kept Saquon Barkley for $59, and that was it. Didn't feel like he had good value anywhere else, so he didn't keep anyone else. He drafted Ashton Gianti right away, and that is a hell of a 1-2 punch on the ground if Gianti's everything people think he will be. The receivers are Devontae Adams, Xavier Worthy, Matthew Golden, who I sure wish I had. Go Pack, go. And Jordan Addison after he comes back from suspension. Once all four of those guys are healthy, it's like I like all four of those guys, but there isn't a dominant guy in this group. It doesn't feel to me. Honestly, the guy that's probably most likely, I was going to say Golden, it's probably Xavier Worthy, maybe because he'll be by himself for 6 weeks with no Rushy Rice. I don't know. There isn't like a dominant force there, but obviously when you have Saquon Barkley and Ashton Gianti, I mean, the game plan was to embrace the run. So I don't know what to make of that yet. I think this league, and overgeneralizing here, but I think the league's been dominated a little bit by receiving. And so we will see if a clear, like my focus was the running back position. We'll see if a team like that can do it. A lot of targets that you need to fill in this league when you have a receiver flex and then standard flex. So not sure on the passing game whether there's going to be quite enough punch there or not. Tucker Kraft and Dallas Goedert, not like great tight ends. I wouldn't say Dak's not a great quarterback for fantasy. So if Barkley and Gianti are probably going to have to hit big in order for this team to win it all. That's my very first gut reaction. Anyways, Brad's projected 117 right off the cuff, and it looks like none of the receivers he has are projected for more than 11.5, which is exactly what I'm kind of talking about. So we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the lowest top projection for a receiver in the league in a half PPR league like this. usually you're going to have someone that fell out into 12 plus, right? So that's the weakness that I see. But the running backs, I don't imagine anybody's going to beat Barkley and Gianti for a 1-2 punch. So we'll see. Alex is next, and his keepers were really exciting. And oh my, Sleeper really approves of what Alex has been building here. So $8 Jaden Daniels, amazing. $9 Brian Thomas, amazing. $9 Jacoby Myers, I actually liked it, but Sleeper projected him actually for less than that. But I still think that that's a nice cheap. You locked it in. You've got a wide receiver one. Jacoby Myers last year was a wide receiver two, and he got an upgraded quarterback, big upgrade. So I really like the three keepers a ton because he maintained a ton of cap space and had good talent. He ended up with Bucky Irving and Tony Pollard as his one and two. And I didn't know this, but I think Tajay Spears needs to go on like the IR or something. So Tony Pollard, if I had known that, $16 seems like a freaking steal. Bucky Irving at 36, you're paying up a little bit, but he was really good last year. The receivers, Ryan Thomas, T. Higgins, Mike Evans, and Jacoby Myers. That's nasty, I think. I still don't know if Brian Thomas really strikes me as like a legitimate number one on a fantasy team, but I think T. Higgins is borderline number one. Mike Evans is clearly a two if he's not a one. He's probably not a one anymore, but and Jacoby Myers was a two. So even though I don't think this is like a top six wide receiver on the team, you may have four top 24 receivers and a legit one of the best scoring tight ends. I mean, I'm sorry, quarterbacks. A pretty much a legit RB1, a nice RB2. Just the whole team in the starting lineup looks balanced. Joku was what the last pick. I feel like for a last pick, that's pretty nice. Jake Ferguson, $19 Jake Ferguson, which was kind of a joke at the end, just because he had to spend his money. Don't necessarily love the tight end position, but we've got Mixon and Krosky Merritt on the bench. Other than those four receivers, you're a little thin. Trey Harris, I honestly don't know anything about him, so maybe he's great, and I'm just not aware. Sleeper is projecting Alex for 134. Giving a lot of love to Njoku and Cameron Dicker and the Denver defense. Basically, everyone's projected between 12 to 10 to 12, and then you've got Jay Daniels, Bucky Irving, kind of pushing the top off that. So Sleeper approves Alex's plan here. Next is me. I kept Jonathan Taylor, didn't love the value, but thought it was fine. Malik Neighbors, which is my one pick where I'm like, yes, that's a good one. He's universally thought of as at least a top like 8 receiver, I think, for 23 bucks. That was good value. Jerry Jeudy, $8. It was too cheap not to keep him, though I am certainly not excited about the Cleveland quarterback room or frankly that offense in general. So I'm not like banking him in as a big weapon or anything. Um, I'm really pretty bad at quarterback and tight end. So like those areas where you love to have a great player who kind of gives you the edge against your competition. I'm pretty bad at both of those. And so I have Justin Herbert down here and Jordan Love, honorary mentioned, you know, honorary asserting Jordan Love as my quarterback, even though I may not start him. Go Pack Go. Tyler Warren at tight end, he's young, hasn't proven anything, obviously. Rookie, I'm pretty sure. I, just, I don't know NFL like I do the others. But my receiving core, I got CD Lamb, Malik Neighbors. I took a chance on Tyreek Hill for 30. I overpaid for CD. I mean, overpaid. CD's awesome. So paid a lot for CD. Had great value in Malik. If you had said that you could draft CD for 40 and Malik for 40, you would probably take that. I think the average person, right? Because Malik certainly should cost more than this, and CD, I went a little over, but not like a ton. So I feel good about that. Tyreek at 30 then was sort of just like a I'm all in on receiving kind of move. I'm going for the upside. And last year obviously was not pretty, but Tua was out for so long. I'm just hoping We see 2 years ago, Tyreek was like the number one player in the entire fantasy. So yeah, I like that risk. And then with Jerry Judy as my four, that's a pretty hefty point total for those four. But of course, there's always a cost. And Zach Charbonnet, currently slated to play for me, despite being clearly the backup to Kenneth Walker. And that makes me very nervous. My running backs are Charbonnet, Brian Robinson, who's probably third fiddle to Christian McCaffrey. Ollie Gordon, who I literally had never heard of, but I saw Nate bid for $2, and so I bid for three. Suck it, Nate. Najee Harris, who is not the starter for the Chargers, and Braylon Allen, who is not the starter for the Jets. But a lot of people feel like have some buzz about him. So I need something bad to happen to a running back where I have the backup because without that, not really seeing running back production in my future. My only hope is that between Jonathan Taylor, who's still very much a legitimate RB1, and then CD, Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, and Jerry Judy, all projected over 11.5. I just got to hope that the receiving pushes me over the top and that every week one of those dudes is going for 30. I mean, frankly, that's my recipe for success. The running back position is going to be a wild ride. And I do have Cooper Kupp down there as depth for wide receiver. For $5, that felt like a pretty good risk too. 121 points is my projection. We're going to go to the champ, multi-time champ. We got John, who kept Lamar Jackson, Justin Jefferson, and Puka Nacua. I guess maybe that is probably the best three. Lamar Jackson being literally the best player in fantasy. Puka and Justin Jefferson both being top 10 receivers, top five receivers. Puka's the one that I'm not sure about. That he's getting a lot of love in all the rankings. So he spent a lot of money on those three guys. He had lots of good keeper options, but he chose to go for basically his top end guys, not necessarily the ones that you maybe could claim are the absolute best keeper value. But it's hard to argue. Justin Jefferson, Puka, and Lamar Jackson, pretty good start. He added Cortland Sutton and Zay Flowers, Rome Odunze, and Darnell Mooney. So the receiving core, pretty freaking good. I mean, Sutton is borderline wide receiver one. Zay Flowers is the clear top target in the Baltimore offense through the air. So that's a lot of points coming his way through the air. The ground, just like me, is where he's going to struggle, except for Lamar Jackson. I know Aaron Jones has been really successful in his career, but I think there are some people who think that Jordan Mason is going to be like 1A, 1B with him up there in Minnesota this year. Cam Scatabo, he really overpaid for that, I think, a little bit. $7. Some people think he'll push Tracy, but others do not. That's a pretty risky running back too. And then he has J.K. Dobbins, who is presumably not going to start over Hampton and Denver. Trey Benson, who a lot of people thought would take over for Connor last year, but didn't. And that's it. He has four running backs. Three of them are not starters with really no immediate path to becoming the starter. And Aaron Jones is currently the starter for sure, but not going to be surprised if down near the goal line, Jordan Mason gets a try. So the running back situation not looking great, but it's going to be pretty hard to top Jefferson, Nacua, Sutton, and Flowers. So we'll see. He's projected 120. Frankly, John will figure out a way to be great. Not too worried about that. Ryan has Josh Allen, who the great Houdini act of Duran, hitting him up to like 39 or 38, and then instantly Ryan placed a bid. Don't know if that was intentional. I talked with Ryan after. I think he's totally comfortable with having Josh Allen. But that was funny in the moment. It felt like he got the price went way up, and then maybe Ryan had clicked next or something and bid the dollar up. I'm not sure exactly how it happened. But Josh Allen and Christian McCaffrey and Kyron Williams will just start out really nice. That's a nice one to punch. Christian McCaffrey certainly at $38 has potential to go for a lot more value than that, but it is officially time to start fading that price down because he's hurt a lot. The receivers are where it gets really sketchy for Ryan. Rashee Rice will be out for 6 weeks. Had as little as a running back. That's not correct. We know he's good and talented, and he seems to have a connection with Mahomes, but I don't know for sure if 7 weeks from now Mahomes hasn't made a connection with Xavier Worthy or gone back to more of a Kelsey kind of centric offense or something. And this doesn't feel like awesome value at $11, considering how much time he's going to miss. I do like Jalen Waddle at 14 because it can't get any worse than last year. He really kind of was a bust. Sam Laporta at 12. I don't know if the system didn't say that that was great value, but obviously Sam Laporta is going to play in a really good offense and probably have a lot of looks. And Rashid Shaheed at 12. Sleeper said was a bad value. He was more like a $1 or $2 player, said the system, but that's just the system. And that quarterback situation in New Orleans is dreadful. So it's a little bit nerve wracking if we're relying on a backup to Rasheed Rice somewhere that you pick up, right? Presumably Josh Palmer, Cedric Tillman, or Deontay Thornton. Um, that's tough. That's not ideal. Uh, so the points at receiver are going to be hard to come by. However, there may not be a better like top four running backs. We got McCaffrey, Kyron Williams, James Conner, who was really good last year. Um, People thought it was time for him to kind of be replaced, but not so. And Isaiah Pacheco. So those four running backs are really good. He can only play three, of course, and so he'll be covered in the event of buys or injury. But he's going to need to find some production on the waivers, probably with the receiver room. He's projected 122, which is definitely higher than a few of us already. So I'm not saying that this team sucks, um, but the receiver room is definitely scary. And in a league where receptions and receivers have been part of the championship formula, I am nervous for Ryan on that front. Mr. Pete. He has Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. So let's just start there. That's going to be fun. And it's going to be stressful as hell when you're playing against Pete. Who has what week is there by? Week 10. Note to self, schedule myself against Pete in week 10. You guys didn't hear that. So other than week 10, I'm going to be pretty scared to place Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase together. That's just terrifying. James Cook was kept at really good value. I traded that to him. Drake London kept at really good value. I traded that to him as well. And so these three keepers are that's a lot of talent. Austin Eckler at 10 as his second running back is not very good. Nick Chubb, 14 seems like quite a bit. I don't think there's been good reports out of Houston about him. $10 for Tank Bigsby is seems fine because if he does get the job then over the other two guys, then that would be a nice value. But yeah, there isn't a great running back two to lean on here. Doesn't look like. So the good thing he has Jamar Chase, Drake London, Travis Hunter. If you buy him as a legit weapon, I think I do, and Chris Olave. That's a nice 1, 2, 3, 4 through the air. Doesn't really have a great. I mean, Adam Thielen behind it. We'll see. But yeah, I like the top end talent here. I didn't even mention Kelsey bouncing back a little bit would not surprise me. So between Burrow and Kelsey, he has some nice point advantages there relative to competition, probably. I think it'll be mostly about how much can he get out of his RB2 and Travis Hunter. He's a rookie. Usually rookies don't like come on the scene as wide receivers and dominate, but we'll see. He's projected 119 right now. Next is JW, who kept Alvin Kamara at 29. I traded it to him. And $17 Terry McLaurin. I traded it to him. I traded a lot of people last year and I didn't even make the playoffs. I was going for it all. I didn't even make the playoffs. Sad. Where is he? I hate auction drafts. I know, Jada. Baker Mayfield, $11 seems fine. Alvin Kamara for 29 seems fine. Brees Hall at 29. I know some people might be nervous about Brees Hall, but he has all the tools. Maybe it's more of a Braylon Allen support thing than we hate Brees Hall. But yeah, I've seen some people down on Brees Hall. So $29, that reflects that, I think, because he's was going at the top of drafts 2 years ago or last year even. $42 for AJ Brown. After CD went, AJ Brown was the best receiver on the market. So he paid up a little bit, but I mean the dude's been a $50 player a couple times in the last 5 years. Terry McLaurin at 17 is awesome value. Trey McBride at 28 feels like good value to me too. I mean, we forget how Travis Kelce was going for $50 in auctions like 5 years ago. And Trey McBride's the best tight end in the game, I think most people think from a fantasy perspective. If not, Darren Waller, maybe even George Kittle can be in the conversation. But $28 doesn't feel like an insane investment for someone who's going to clearly put him at an advantage every single week. George Pickens at 15. I know he's high on him. And he got his guy, $15. There's going to be a lot of targets available once double coverage and CD, and they have no running game. So George Pickens is going to see a lot of passes probably. And Ricky Pearsall, sorry, I don't have these filled in. 49ers receiver, slated for a pretty big role right off the gate because Ayuk's on the up, and people think he has potential if he doesn't get shot this offseason like he did last offseason. So, Quinshawn Judkins, Kareem Hunt, backup running backs to Kamara and Brees Hall. That's not awesome, but Woody Marks too. Yeah, that's pretty questionable backup running backs, but as long as Brees Hall and Alvin Kamara play, then I don't think he cares. And yeah, I got Cam Ward, who I know he remarked about being happy about getting. And then yeah, Will Shipley. So the running back, the depth is not particularly good here, but starting lineup I think looks pretty solid. Um, if Terry McLaurin, if this is what he is now, is a top 10 kind of guy, Trey McBride, if Brees Hall bounces back to be like a dominant running back, then I could see this team being a playoff team. But if one or all of those things don't happen, then I could see this more being a fringe team. I don't know. Hard to say. I haven't really been saying as I go up and down who's a playoff team and who's not. He's projected 121. Derek is next, and he kept Josh Jacobs, Khalil Shakir, and David Montgomery. David Montgomery, I traded it to him. Has been pretty good value. Just scored so many damn touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, go pack, go. He went Henry and Jacobs and spent basically half his money on them. Um, yeah, when you factor in $17 for David Montgomery, he spent $1 more on Jameson Williams, but basically his three most expensive players are running backs. That seems like a hard formula to win with in this league, where again receivers have played such a prominent role when teams have won. But we will see. His receivers are Jameson Williams, DJ Moore, Khalil Shakir, Jaden Reed, Michael Pittman, Keenan Allen, and Romeo Dobbs. I mean, I like a lot of those guys, but there isn't a one in that group. I don't think. I don't think anyone would say that any of those guys have much of a chance to finish as a one in fantasy, top 12. So that makes me a little bit nervous, but at the same time, Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs, probably Brad's the only other guy that can really boast a 1-2 punch like that at the running back position, but with Barkley and Gianti. And I'm not sure who I would pick, but probably Henry Jacobs, just because Gianti's a little bit more of a uncertain thing. Bo Nix really surprised the hell out of me last year. I did not expect all of that production. Frankly, I'm not sure if I believe it or not, but $11 isn't breaking the bank. Evan Ingram at $11 as well. He's got his Denver to Denver connection. Really wanted him, but can't always get your guy. I didn't actually, he wasn't my guy or anything. I wanted him at the end of the draft. He got the Etienne side of the Jacksonville running back room, so that if it does hit, would be nice as a backup. Pittman and Keenan Allen are both. Well, Pittman's more of a bounce back candidate, and Keenan Allen just not sure what he had left in the tank, but he was really effective last year in Chicago, no less. Now he's back with his guy played obviously the Chargers. Knows Herbert. Could probably be a pretty nice pickup for $2 at the end. I think we'll all probably wish we had a $2 Keenan Allen on our team. Bo kept Bijan, Lad McConkey, and Brock Bowers. Another really nice trio. And considering the value of all three, right up there, top three in terms of what kind of value did you bring back, even with Bijan at 52, which isn't that much of a value. Lad at 10, Brock at 15 are both great values. So I think this was a really nice keeper group. We saw in the draft that Bo didn't spend his money, didn't spend it all basically, and he had opportunity to add another really good player to the mix, but he was trying to be conservative, and so it left the team with a little bit to be desired to me. RJ Harvey obviously could be the starter in Denver. Most people probably think he will be because all he has to do is beat out what's his name? Who's had plenty of chances. I can't even think of who it is, but it's not someone that you're going to say like, oh, that guy's for sure going to be the starter. So RJ Harvey is a good bet to get some carries, especially mid-season. Lad McConkey at 10, Emeka Ibuka, who a lot of people are really high on, while Chris Godwin is out especially. Also feels good for $10. If this were a keeper league, I'd be all about that. $9 Juwan Jennings also feels good. Ayuk is also out. It's going to create some opportunities. But it doesn't feel. I know Lad McConkey was borderline a wide receiver one last year, but I mean Brock Bowers is basically a wide receiver one or a wide receiver two. But between Jennings and Ibuka, Godwin, which will hurt Ibuka's stock when he comes back, so it's kind of almost a weird fit. Isaac Tislov, Christian Kirk. The receiving feels a little light, but then you do have Bowers who kind of offsets some of that too. So I don't know. The running back room, RJ Harvey, will he be the guy? If not, at least he has Javante, who's going to probably start as the guy for Dallas. I did like Jared Goff at $3. I think I would have really liked this team if, let's say, this is going to sound stupid because it's my guy, but like if Bo had taken a $30 risk on a Tyreek Hill, I think that would have made a lot of sense. Someone in the 25 to $30 range because he had that much money left over. If he had taken another risk like that, I think this lineup would look really stout. As it stands, I think it's like a fine team. Not sure exactly where I'd rank it. It's projected for 118, which I think is on the lower side, but like we're talking within 3 or 4 points, pretty much everybody except for Alex. I think we're almost done here. Leno's team, he kept Devon Achane, and that was it. Projected 126, so the team or the computer really likes what he's done. Achane and Chase Brown. Chase Brown at 33 feels like a pretty good value. Like a lot of these other ones went for 40 something. Chase Brown is projected right up there with anybody. High power offense, of course. He also got Kenneth Walker. So I mean, the man spent $68 on Achane, Brown, and Kenneth Walker. That's pretty phenomenal value. Uh, the receiving room, it's good. I don't know if there will be a year-end wide receiver one or not, but when you have DK, Marvin Harrison, and Deebo Samuel, doesn't feel too bad. Keon Coleman is a nice upside guy. Rashad Bateman is kind of the fifth. Um, the bench is not a whole lot to speak about, but George Kittle's a good tight end. Patrick Mahomes, a bit of a wild card at this point. We obviously know he's got arm talent. Not a debate there, but I'm not sure for fantasy purposes if he's really considered a great quarterback to have. So TBD on that. But there's potential there for a quarterback positional advantage. George Kittle will provide a positional advantage on almost anybody but Bowers and McBride. And then yeah, DK, Marvin Harrison, Debo. I don't imagine that those three guys are just going to be like terrible compared to your opponent each week. But then you have Achane and Brown. I like this team. Leno won 2 years ago. Very, very big fantasy football guy in a billion leagues, too many leagues. And I really like that team. I feel like he's going to be one of the strong contenders. And then the newcomer, Duran, taking over for Jeremiah, did not have a stake in the keeper options that he had. He kept Chuba Hubbard at 6 just because I think the value was so good. $11 for Nico Collins, which was amazing. And I think there was honestly some confusion. So part of this is my fault. I don't think he realized that the keeper system was coming to a close. And it all kind of came together quickly. Jeremiah didn't uh, let me know he wanted out until pretty close to the end. And so I brought Duran in and we didn't get a chance to sit down and really talk through the details. So part of that's for sure my fault. But I would say between Nico Collins, Garrett Wilson, McMillan, and Ridley and Diggs, the five receivers ended up pretty good. Collins is a wide receiver one. Garrett Wilson is a wide receiver two. Calvin Ridley could be a fringe wide receiver two as well because he's the top guy. There's no doubt. It's just if he's going to get double covered, like can he really beat that? Not really sure. He came along a couple times last year. McMillan is a pretty big wild card, but some people are high on Bryce Young this year. High on him as in getting better at least, and this guy is just physical freak. Julio Jones 2.0, I've heard said. Jalen Hurts is a tremendous positional advantage at the top. I think the big questions really are about running back, but he took some guys late that I felt like, yeah, that's that's a pretty solid guy. So Tracy, he is a Giants fan. He seems to think Tracy's got the job locked up and that Scatabo is not going to push him. I've heard people not be so confident in Tracy, but I'm not a Giants slash former D1 football player, so I trust Duran on that. Chuba Hubbard, pretty good value here, even if he isn't what he was last year. I think that's going to be a solid flex level kind of guy. $20 risk on DeAndre Swift at the end. That feels like a good risk because I don't know who is the second guy over there? Is it still Roshan Johnson? Like I don't think Swift is great, but he's going to get the ball. And he got both sides of the Pittsburgh running back room, Jalen Warren and Caleb Johnson. I remember he said Caleb Johnson will take over by midseason, but in the interim, I think they just signed Jalen Warren to like a couple year extension. So that could be a little bit more of a committee, maybe, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like this. And Mark Andrews, I glossed over. I think he has Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, so another kind of double up. That one's a bit odd. I don't know if I've ever seen someone own two tight ends from the same team. Maybe the Gronk and Aaron Hernandez days or something, but like that's pretty rare. Um, but he's projected 124. That's one of the highest totals in the league. So even though he kind of started down the path of looking for keeper values in the future, he ended up with a pretty solid team, I would say. Could have helped himself by not necessarily going straight to $38 on Jalen Hurts. I bet he could have got him for 30 or something, but you know, uh, I think the team looks pretty good overall. I did not plan for this video to take this long, but I had fun. I wonder if anyone's watching it to the end. Let me know because uh, that's pretty impressive if you did. I'm looking forward to the season. I'm going to try to post some videos as we go. I don't know how often. I'm doing it every week for baseball, and uh, probably can do that for football too. There's not a whole lot to analyze or discuss each week, really. They're just going over the scores, maybe like some of the peak players, but most of us are probably going to know that already because we're all in several leagues, most of us. But I'll give it a shot, and we'll see. And if people like these, then I'll keep doing them. So good luck this season, and see you in the next video.